Hello, freedom loving friends, and welcome to another video on particularly guns and gun use and defensive gun use. Particularly, the operative word here is going to be DGU. The acronym for DGU is standing for defensive gun use. So I basically intended for this video. In fact, at first I was thinking about preparing some kind of outlining a presentation style, kind of like a PowerPoint style presentation, and outlining all the relevant matters and features and aspects of uh, gun use from the legal perspective, defensive gun use from the legal perspective for a law-abiding citizen carrying a permit to carry a gun, handgun, on his person, and being in need of using this gun, and then what to do aftermath, considering all the legal consequences of it. Instead of doing this presentation kind of a more official presentation like style, I decided to have it to keep it more kind of conversational manner. So as if I'm sitting here with you over a coffee table and kind of exchanging ideas and you know chatting about the gun use and its particularly legal consequences. So let's start talking about that. So again, like I said, I'm not going to talk about concealed carry options. What are the best options for concealed carry? How to dress, the holster, the various different situations, whether you're home or you're outside, you're in your car, those kind of things. I'm not gonna talk about those. I meant to basically discuss only. I want to narrow it down to the time that you, as a law-abiding citizen, you had to resort to your lethal force, to the gun, to the handgun that you carry on your person, and you are in a position that you have to defend yourself or your family, your loved ones, or your property against an attacker. And especially this was after you used your gun, your legally owned gun, and what to do. So as you see, kind of backdrop, it says understand the gun laws in your state. And in fact, I live in the state of Minnesota, so I want to recommend if anyone is interested and who's living in the state of Minnesota. I'm sorry, this is kind of ghosting here because I'm using the backdrop. And this book, I hope it shows clearly. Again, because of this backdrop, it's kind of ghosting on me. The book I'm talking about is Minnesota Guns for Armed Citizens. This is the name of the book. I repeat, Minnesota Guns for Armed Citizens. So there is plenty, and this is published by NACFI. This is National Association of Certified Firearms Instructors. So this is a beautiful book, well informed, rich with information, valid and valuable information, not fluff, about the legal consequences and what to do, how to go about that. Very practical information, and I decided to basically to show with people, with anyone, particularly those who reside in Minnesota, those Minnesota residents. Also, in general, those are applicable to, I guess, a lot of other states with some minor changes, of course. So yeah, like I said, I'll be talking about this aftermath of using your gun, the legally owned gun, and what to do and what to expect. So to be able to talk about this, I think I'm going to go ahead and resort some kind of sample situations, describe fictional names and situations to describe, to make it kind of a more realistic to be understood and to be able to relate to. So a typical situation, I'm gonna split into two situations here. One is when you're at home in Minnesota, especially Minnesota is a castle doctrine state, meaning if you're in your home, you do not have to retreat. You have a right to use your gun, your lethal force, to defend yourself if you're in your home and there is an intruder. That's what the castle doctrine is in the state of Minnesota. So That's one situation. I'm going to talk about this with some sample examples and stuff, kind of illustrations, and also I will talk about when you're not home, you're outside of home, and you're carrying your gun, your legally owned gun, on your person, and you had to resort to use that lethal force because you are a victim of an attack, a violent attack. So I want to start first off with a situation that you're home. That's the first example. You're home again. Then you, like two in the morning or 3 in the morning, you're sleeping, and you're hearing somebody's kind of cluttering with the door handle, or your wife is waking you up and telling you that, hey, get up, wake up. I think I heard something, maybe a kind of a shattering of a window, or somebody's fooling with the wall, something, some noise in the kitchen, whatever. And you're upstairs, and you wake up. Your wife is very anxious, so you have your gun, like I do. It's my bedside, so you grab your gun, always loaded, and you rack it. Put one round, unless you have it. I'm one of those people who don't carry around uh, uh, in the chamber. So it's a matter of different discussion. I'm not going to get into that right now. This is not a matter of topic. So you grab your gun and flashlight. My flashlight is right next to a gun. It's also a tactical flashlight. So, and with those two, very quietly, you get up, make sure that your wife is safe, your children, if they're underage, they're living with you, are safe, and then you kind of start taking action. Basically, you're trying to get involved with the situation as you would normally. So now there's a lot of perception, or I want to say maybe misunderstandings of misconceptions, that anyone inside your home you can shoot, and you can shoot to kill. Well, it's not that black and white, obviously. It's not that simple. Uh, First off, yes, a person in your house, the fact that the person is in your house is constituting the crime on his site. See, if you notice, I'm using the term his because it is 99.999% likelihood that intruders, violent attackers, and those alike are males. So this person is committing a crime by just physically being in your house without your invitation, obviously. So, would you and can you shoot? That's a really large gray area, and obviously, if there is an imminent and immediate, those two words are two important keywords: imminent threat and immediate threat. So, if the person inside your house, let's say you're face to face with him, and he is kind of charging against towards you, he's charging. He has a maybe gun, maybe knife, maybe I don't know, a tire iron, maybe claw hammer, one of those things that he can use as a weapon against you, and he's charging against you, towards you. In this case, and he is in your house, you have your gun, you have legal right to protect yourself, and then you can shoot that person. But there might be situations, which I remember one of them. It happened to a friend of mine, that when she was actually, it was 1 in the morning, she said that she was sleeping. Actually, she was taking a nap on the couch. She was not in her bedroom, and then she heard somebody was fooling with the door, and then door was open, and she thought it was her husband came, and she called his name. He even said yes, and then she realized it wasn't her husband. The guy was inside the house. It was a young kid. He was escaping from cops. He was scared, and he was simply trying to find a place to hide. And the door was unlocked, and he was easily able to get in. She said, luckily nothing happened. The cops came and arrested the guy. But then she told me later that he was very polite. He even took his shoes off before entering the house. He was very polite. They had a short conversation. He said he was scared. He was escaping from the cops because he committed some other kind of petty crime actually in the neighborhood. So maybe some kind of a theft in a convenience store or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the nature of the crime. Why cops were after him, but that was the case. That's the way she explained it to me. So in this situation, the kind of situation I just described, and this is not a fictional situation. Like I said, it happened to my friend, and I'm telling you the way she described it to me. Would you have killed him? Would you have shoot at him, shoot the guy and killed him? I personally wouldn't. I would avoid doing so. I would just talk him and give him a chance to get away. Go flee. Again, as a citizen, you're not a police officer, so it's not your duty or responsibility to chase a person who's in trouble with law. Even if the person is a threat to you, after you produce a gun, let's say, and the person gives up on you, on attacking you, which by the way, according to police records statistics, if you draw a gun and point at the attacker, point at him, it is 92% likely that he will give up. Again, 92% likelihood that if in protecting yourself and your loved ones, if you draw your gun and point at him, he will stop. That is 92% likelihood. If the attacker stops, that means, according to law, the court of law, the threat ended. The threat stopped. At that point, using your gun is not anymore DGU, meaning defensive gun use. It is a crime. You can be tried and jailed up to life for murder. If the threat stops, you have no right to pull the trigger. The threat stops might have various different interpretations. Like the person stops, person is retrieving, turning his back, escaping from you, simply leaving the crime or area. In this case, if he is in your home, he is getting out of your home. If you're outside, he is leaving your presence. He's kind of not a threat anymore, or simply he is so scared of his life, he started escaping, meaning his back is now facing you. He is getting away from you. Under none of those circumstances, you are not allowed to pull that trigger. If you do so, you will be tried and jailed up to life for murder case. So this is same situation in home, right? I mean, if you pull your gun, a person is scared, let him go. This is what I would do, and this is, I think, one of the most the kind of recommendations going this way. You don't have to pull the trigger and shoot the intruder. So let's say there are two different things now it's happening. This one was the case at home, and could be, this can also happen outside of home. So let's say, I want to give another example, another scenario. Let's say you're at a restaurant or a public place, a mall, movie theater. You're simply in a parking lot. You're coming out of your grocery store or whatever, or department store, gas station, and a situation happened that you are feeling you are a potential victim. Somebody is about to attacking you. A serious attack might take place. A violent attack might take place. You are carrying your legally owned gun on you, and you pull your gun, and again aimed at that person, point at that person. Now, at that moment again, most likely this person will flee, will stop at least. Stop in his tracks, reconsider the situation, and most likely he will get away from you. At that moment, again, threat is stopped. Now, you did not have to fire your gun, you didn't have to discharge your gun, you just showed it. What do you have to do now? You just did that, and you have witnesses, eyewitnesses. This is happening at a gas station, this is happening at some kind of a public place where other people saw you, that you pulled your gun and aiming at the intruder. Now think yourself, put yourself in those people's shoes. They're just eyewitnesses, happen to be there, and all they're seeing is a guy holding a gun at another guy. In this case, the guy holding a gun is you. Yes, you're a victim or potential victim, but they don't know that. Now they can call 911 and report to 911 dispatcher like this. I'm calling from such and such place, restaurant, gas station, and there is a man with a gun. This is you. And that by the moment they do this and describe you and give the location, in a few moments, few minutes, cops will be there. And the moment they come to that place, to that crime scene, in their lingo, the crime scene, you are a potential criminal. No one knows what's going on. So, because of this, the moment you pull your gun and the intruder left the scene, escaped, fled, then the next thing that you have to do is, there are a couple things. First, you gotta call 911. Again, you gotta call. It's your duty. It is your legal duty. Call 911 and report what happened. I will get into how to talk and all that, but I'm going to skip this for now. I will get back to later. The second thing, you need to call your attorney. In my case, what I do is I carry a legal insurance. In my case, the company that I chose is Texas Law Shield, and I have a membership with this legal insurance company. Particularly, the program is particularly designed for those people like me, respectful, law-abiding, respectful citizens who are carrying guns on their persons, and in case of resorting to lethal force, this is the program that I can call. There is a number at the back. See this red big number, numbers. This is the number I can call and give my name or membership number on the card and report them to say I'm a potential, not potential, I'm a victim of a violent attack. I had to resort using my lethal force, and I use my gun, and I need legal counseling. So what they do is in your state, whatever your state is, they have basically in their network of attorneys, criminal attorneys, they will send you one as soon as possible, regardless of the time of the day. I repeat, regardless of the time of the day. In my opinion, this is obviously you can choose another way. I mean, you might have your own lawyer. You can search, personally find one. But again, even if you find one, a good lawyer, by the time you call that lawyer, let's say 2 in the morning is happening, it might be hard to reach them. But this is again, this service is such that you can call them 24/7, 365, and they're supposed to assign you a criminal attorney in your state. So those two things you got to do. Calling 911 is extremely essential, because if you don't, if you just leave the scene after you use the way it happened I described, you basically drew your gun, you pointed at the attacker, and the attacker left, and you holster your gun and you leave. You might, basically tempted to do that, right? And you're done. No one is attacking you. You basically repel the attack, repel the threat, and holster your gun and leave. If you do that, there is a potential witness. It's happening in a public place. They might call later again, 911, describe you, location, time, your license plate maybe even. then next thing that's going to happen is cops will show up on your door and they will say, can we talk? So by the time you left the crime scene without calling 911 is potentially making you criminal. Is potentially making you criminal and is making your standing in the court of law very difficult. So I would absolutely, it is absolutely recommended to call 911 right after using your gun, even though you did not fire it. Throwing a gun in public place and pointing at somebody is very serious act, and it's potentially a criminal act. Actually, it is a criminal, not potential. It's a criminal act. Yes, you did this in self-defense, but you got to prove that. So you have to go to the court for that as well. Just like it's not any different than discharging your gun or firing your gun. So during that phase, right after you call 911, you will be arrested. Do not resist that. Do not resist that. This is the expected part of the process. You will be arrested and in fact will be handcuffed and put in the police cruiser, and will be taken to police station. And you'll be questioned. You'll be interrogated. So now, right at this point, what do you have to do? How do you talk to cops? How do you talk to 911 dispatcher? What are the things you need to say? When do you have to talk? When do you have to shut up? Those are the things that I want to talk about. First off, I want to mention a couple of things. The moment that this incident occurred, that you had to resort using your lethal force on you, your handgun, because you were being attacked, and right after that, especially if you had to fire your gun, especially if that happened, that you shot the guy. Now, we're going to look at two different scenarios again. One we just mentioned. You have to point your gun, the guy is left. The other one is, unfortunately, the threat didn't stop. You had to fire your gun. You stopped the threat. Now the attacker is lying on the ground. What do you have to do? In this case, immediately again after that, you have to call 911 and give your name and give your location, and also say the words you have to use are very important. I repeat, the words you have to use are very important. Short, concise, and limited. I repeat, they have to be short, concise, and limited. Avoid at all cost getting in a conversation with the police officers. I repeat, avoid at all costs getting in any kind of long conversations and chats. Do not babble with police officers. Police officers are not your friends at that moment. So, when you call 911, your name, location, and repeat this. I had to use my gun defensively because I was attacked. I've been a victim of a violent crime. Again, I've been victim of a violent crime, and I had to use my gun, my legal gun, in a defensive manner. That's it. 911 will try to keep you talking. In fact, they will do everything to keep you on the line. They will tell you to stay on line, do not hang up on us, stay on line until the cops arrive. And they will ask you questions. Now at this point, I want to tell you this. Remember, the Miranda rights. I repeat, the Miranda rights. When on the movies and stuff, and the cops arrest somebody, put handcuffs while they're putting the handcuffs and stuff, they say this to the person. From this, you're under arrest, they say, and from this point onward, anything you say might be and will be, or can be and will be, used against you in the court of law. That means when you go to when you go to trial, judge, prosecutors, jury members, all those people in the trial system, in the judicial system, anything and everything that you say, if they find any inconsistencies in your statements, in your reports, they will definitely use against you. So that's why I said the cops, the police officers are not your friends in this case, in this particular case. Now, including myself, a lot of people, normal, regular citizens, are accustomed to see police officers as citizens' friends because police is there to protect and serve the citizens. Police is our friend. Yes, I personally have a lot of respect for police officers. I repeat, I have a lot of respect for police officers for what they do, that they actually, on a daily basis, put in their lives on the line to protect us, to protect the citizens. So I do respect to them. But because of the nature of the law and the way police is functioning in this system, the moment gun is in use, that means you in this case, because you resort to using your gun, either you point it or discharge it. That moment, you are not anymore a private citizen in the eyes of the police officers. Now you are a potential perpetrator. I repeat, you're a potential perpetrator or you're a potential criminal. So the police is no more your friend. The only goal of the police officer is, in this situation, is not to help you actually. I repeat, not to help you, but try to understand what happened, find the criminal as soon as possible, and be done with their job. That's what they care about and all they care about. If what they do, or what they do by mistake, or what they their omissions, their mistakes, their errors in the process, they're not concerned with that. They're not concerned with helping you. They're concerned with gathering the evidence, understanding what happened, and finishing the case. That's their job. They're not there, like your attorney, to protect your rights. Until your attorney is present, it is your responsibility to protect your rights. There is no one else but you to help yourself to protect your life or exercise your life, because police officers will not be standing there and helping you to exercise your constitutional rights. So, police will come, and I want to give an example. They might come to you as sympathetic and friendly. This is one of their tactics. They will come to you, might come to you in a helpful manner, polite, sympathetic, and friendly. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to talk. The more you talk, and this is 100% likelihood, the more you talk, the longer you talk with the police, the deeper in the shit. The longer you talk, the longer the conversations you have with the police officers, you're digging yourself into a deeper and bigger hole. At all costs, avoid talking too much with the police officer. So what are you going to say? They will come. What are you going to do first, and what are you going to say? Now, you call 911, right? Don't forget that. You have to call 911. That's why the police is going to come. If you don't, someone else might have called, and you might be in an even much deeper problem. Call 911. Cops came and showed up. By the time cops came, first off, your hands will be empty. You're not going to be holding your gun. No gun in your hands. If you do, you're in a big duty. Big problem. Now, holster your gun or put it away somewhere. Okay? They're going to ask you to see your hands. Either show your hands or lock them behind your neck. They will, and then after that is a common sense. You got to cooperate with them. You must be polite, and you got to be cooperative. Do not be belligerent with the cops. Do not be argumentative. Do not argue with them. You got to obey the police officers, yes. You got to go with them with what they say, yes. But when it comes to talking with them, because they will try to talk to you, they will try to gather evidence from you, from the first source of information, which is you. All you have to say is your name, first name and last name. You don't have to give locations anymore, obviously they're there. and briefly describe, very briefly, what happened. You're gonna say, you gotta choose your words very carefully. You're the victim of a violent attack, and you were being attacked. You were attacked. Do not say, so I shot him. I was attacked, I was under the attack, so I shot him. If you use this sentence, so I shot him, this will be used most likely in the court of law against you. You had to say, I was being attacked and I had to use my legal gun to stop this attack to protect my own life in pure self-defense. This is a different statement than saying, I shot the intruder or I shot him. Do not ever say that. There are certain things that you should not be using, like for instance, if you're stopping a traffic stop and you have a gun on your hip, and do you say, I got a gun to police officer? Never. The best you can say is, if you have to, I have my legally owned weapon on my person. Never use the word gun. Never ever use the word gun, because the sentence I got a gun has a completely different connotations in the law, in the court of law. Never use it, that word. They might ask you questions like this, and they play with those things. They have all kinds of tricks. Like, when you shot him, were you angry at him? If you say, yes, I was mad at him, it'll be used against you. They might bring it to the point that, the prosecutor can use it against you, saying you shot that person because you got angry, and you're not allowed to. Just because you're mad at somebody, you cannot shoot him. But on the other hand, he's a person attacking you, but maybe he has intent to kill you. So that's a rather precarious, confusing and complex situation. So you got to choose your words carefully. Now, the reason why I'm saying you should not talk much has a very sound, legitimate basis, and I will tell you that. Especially if after you resorted using the lethal force as a normal, law-abiding citizen. Now think about yourself. How many times in your life have been in a situation like this? Never? How about never? Yep, never. And you had to use that gun because you had to defend yourself. It's in a pure self-defense. Your psychology is at that moment is completely and entirely screwed up. Or let me put it this way, maybe screw up is not a proper word. Your psychology, your state of being, your state of psychology is in such a situation that is entirely foreign to you. You never experienced anything like this. In those kind of situations, your mind is going to play tricks on you. You might easily say things. You might be 100% honest and easily say things that may misrepresent the reality, and then later on you'll be signing reports and they will ask you maybe come up with a write-up, explain what happened, and if they do find any kind of contradictions between your statements and phrases and sentences you use, the words you chose, all that will be used against you in the court of law. I repeat, their job is not to defend you and kind of help you. Their job is to complete the process. That's it. That process might send you to jail for life. It's not their concern. Never forget that. Never ever forget that. So, because of that situation, and most likely, it is almost impossible for a normal person to control all those emotions and think rationally and calmly and choose words carefully and calculatively and talk with police officers in the best possible. This is impossible. This will never happen. So you will slip. In fact, more than slip. in order to prevent any kind of contradictions in the statements that you gave at that moment and the ones that you will give later on in the process, the best option, the best strategy is not to talk. In short, shut up. After you say, I will not report or answer any questions, or I will not consent to any search and seizure until my legal representation is with me. When you say that, you exercise your constitutional rights of keeping quiet and silent. I repeat, when you say that, you're using your constitutional right to keep silent. Right after this, you keep quiet. You shut up. And if you, for some reason, feel like you want to maybe add something else, maybe in the cruise car with the cops, maybe when you're taken to police station for interrogation, for questioning, if you voluntarily start, divulging information, they will not warn you to say, hey, sir, stop. You just exercise your constitutional rights. Now you're basically waiving them, so you better stop. They're not going to tell you. But the moment you start talking again after you exercise your constitutional rights, saying, I will not consent to answer any questions or any search and seizure. If you start talking, that means you automatically waived your constitutional rights. Now anything and everything that you say will be used against you. Any contradictions like I described before. So, for instance, after the incident, the police might ask you to hand in, like for instance, the permit, the carry permit. They might say, sir, can we have your permit and also your handgun? And if you give them, that means you're giving up on them. This is called seizure. But remember what I just said. You are not consenting any search and seizure before your legal counsel is present with you. So you can repeat these things again and again, as many times as you like, as many times as you think is necessary. For instance, they ask again, maybe another cop is coming asking you, sir, can we have your handgun and permit? No, I do not consent. Any search and seizure means this is seizure. And no, you're not giving up your gun or permit before or until the attorney assigned to you, in this case, the one I just described, from that legal insurance company. In your case, you might have an attorney already available, depends. So do not consent. So do not give up on your gun. Do not give your gun and permit to police officers. But again, you're gonna be keeping professional, cooperative, polite, never be argumentative or belligerent with the police. You are just repeating in a stern manner, serious and stern manner, that you are exercising your constitutional rights. Now, for instance, the example illustration that I'm using is you're at a gas station, maybe right inside of the convenience store, maybe you're outside, right around the pump, or maybe some public place, some kind of parking lot of a grocery store or whatever. Now the cops will handcuff you, and do not resist, please. They have a right to do that. They will handcuff you, and then they will take you to the police station. By the way, I also meant to add something here, and that is, I know it is difficult, but if possible, I keep on my cell phone on the right on the main screen, my home screen, I have voice recorder option, because I don't want to fool with that. Like, where is my voice recorder among all the other apps on my phone? So I put this on my screen, home screen. If it is possible, let's say even before the cops came, let's say you are in a, again, illustration purposes, a gas station, you're pumping gas, and somebody approaches you with ill intent, and you start having first off you start exchanging some kind of conversation, but you know that it's not normal, you know that it's dangerous. If you can pull your cell phone and start recording whatever is being said, whatever conversation is taking place between yourself and that the attacker, is super helpful. And I would keep this on recording during the conversations and all these interactions with the cops aftermath, and even while you're in the cruise car being taken to the police station. I would strongly recommend that. I know it's not easily remembered in a doable, but if you can kind of run these scenarios in your mind, in case this kind of things happen, it'll be more possible or likely that you can do that. The reason being is that, again, instead of relying your statements, instead of relying your memory, instead of relying the words, if and when, not if, when you go to court, this recording would be your friend. This will be very important. If you can, it will be super helpful. I know it's not always possible, but at least keep that in mind as an option. Very helpful thing to do. So now, where are you at now? They took you to a police station, right? Now you're sitting in a room. You're on one side of a table facing the other side. There are two officers in plain clothing, and there is a cop standing by the door. Do you think you're under arrest? You may be, you may not be. The best way, I think, you can ask if I'm under arrest, but I guess, instead of asking if I'm under arrest, you might say, after the conversation, you think, for instance, you might say, hey, I think I talk enough, and like you said, you're not going to talk until you have a legal representation, meaning you have your attorney with you, and you can ask, can I leave? In fact, you can get up and kind of walk towards the door, and there is a police officer blocking the door, and you can ask the police officer, sir, can you please step aside, I need to leave the room. If he's not leaving, if he's blocking your way, and they're not saying you're not under arrest or anything, most likely you're under arrest. Fine, then you're under arrest. You understand that? Do not, again, be resistant or belligerent, argumentative. Then, okay, keep it quiet. Still, you got to keep it quiet until your attorney shows up. So now, I try to cover all these stages. You're in a public place, you're attacked, you have to use your gun, either you fired it or did not fire it, and the cops showed up, how to interact with the cops, that phase, and then the police station and what's happening there, interrogation kind of place. So now, one more thing I want to mention about the interrogation. Now, actually, you are at a very disadvantaged position now, interrogation situation. Why? The cops that are facing you, sitting the other side of the table, they might be doing this for years, even for decades. They might be they are very experienced about interviewing people, interrogating people, asking questions to recoup some information, to gather some information, to elicit some information. So, you're, on the other hand, how many times you were in that kind of situation? How about never? How many times you interrogated people? How about never, right? You don't have any experience. So basically, trying to going back and forth with them in this situation is going to be to your disadvantage, because you're now in like a kind of a tennis match. You never held the racket in your life, a tennis racket, whereas the other guy is a professional tennis player. You're going to start match playing tennis. I mean, this is almost like that. So obviously, at the end of the day, you're not gonna lose a tennis match. You might lose your freedom, your liberties. So your liberty here is at stake. That's why it is extremely important not to talk other than what you had to say in short and succinct and concise phrases like I described. And then shut up. They have techniques and strategies and tactics. By law, they can lie to you. You, on the other hand, cannot lie to them. If you lie to police officers, that will be held against you in the court. But during those interrogations, police officers can lie to you. I will give examples of those lies. They can say, sir, look, we guarantee that. Help us. If you tell us what happened, then you will be free to go. You're not going to be in any legal trouble. We guarantee that. We're here to help you, and we're trying to understand what happened. We are on your side. We are your friend. We're on your side. Help us do our job. You're not going to be in any legal trouble. We guarantee you. You believe in them. You tell them the way you know it. Honestly, the way you know it. But again, this is a trick. They now gathered information from you and record it down. Another time, you will be given sworn, what they call statements. And actually, you will sign those statements. They will ask you to write up actually what happened and sign. Now, between those, if they catch contradictions, they will use against you. And in fact, for what you say, after that, they told you that you were your friend, we were on your side. Based on what you say, they can actually put a handcuff on you and say, sir, you're under arrest based on what you said. They can do that. That's why I said police is not your friend, unfortunately, in this scenario, because you're not anymore a citizen that police is trying to protect. Now you are on the other side of the law. You are a potential criminal. You are a perpetrator. That's why they're not supposed to be honest and direct and friendly with you. Now they can do all those things by law. Law forces them to apply those kinds of practices. So again, the moral of the story is unless you have a strong, good legal representation, do not talk, do not share anything, do not make comments, keep quiet, keep silent. I will tell this, if I was doing this for hours and hours, I will be probably repeating this for dozens of times until I bore you to death. It is worth it. Keep silent, keep quiet, keep silence, shut up, talk only what you need to say at the very bare extreme minimum statements. I was attacked. I had to defend myself against the immediate attack. I had to resort using my legal gun. Those kinds of statements. And I am not consenting to any kind of search and seizure, meaning they cannot have your gun, meaning they cannot have your permit, or if you're home, they cannot get in your house without the search warrant. You're not talking with them. You're not interacting with them. So, those things are extremely important. Do not forget that your liberty is at stake. Because of legal technicalities, you might be seen as a murderer or as a person who used his gun or her gun illegally. And that will bring you a lot of problems, very serious problems. Again, in a court system, and after you had to resort using your legal gun, there is no way, but you have to go to the court system. The court system might cause you, at the very optimistic terms, tens of thousands of dollars. And if somebody got hit with your bullets, like an innocent bystander, might cost you millions of dollars. So, understanding the significance of the scope of the situation, you must reconsider even carrying a gun. And I do carry my legally owned gun, but always trying to teach myself and force myself to be aware, constantly staying in that state of awareness that these are the situations that might possibly apply if I ever have to use my gun. So please be aware of these, and carrying that gun is coming with huge legal, financial, emotional, and moral responsibilities. One example, just one example. If you remember, we're talking about a home intruder situation, and you're home and somebody is inside your home, and let's say, unfortunately, yes, you had to shoot the guy, and you killed him, and you went through the legal system, all these things I just mentioned, all these phases, and you were found not guilty. Good, fine. I'm not even estimating how much you spent in the process and how long the process took. It might have been hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you're found not guilty. That's very important, right? You protect your liberty. Do you think you're going to be able to live in that house? Because, right after the incident, biohazard team will come and clean up the house. Clean up the scene. Because there's going to be extensive stuff to clean. That's why the biohazard experts come and clean up the scene. Most likely, again, according to statistics, people who were in these kind of situations do not or cannot stay or live anymore in that house. They have to sell it or go buy a new house or live somewhere else. Maybe rent a place. I don't know. Maybe go to a hotel. They cannot live in that place. It's a normal human reaction. Because, we're normal people. We're not ever on a daily basis engaging with gunfight and shooting people. So that's why it's a normal thing. So there is emotional side of it. There is a moral side of it. Shooting somebody might be seriously violating your consciousness, your religious, maybe your faith, your religious beliefs, and on top of all that, like I said, the financial aspect of it, and of course the legal aspect of it. And don't forget that you might win in the criminal court. You might be found not guilty in the criminal court system, but how about the civil court? You might find guilty in the civil court. If you maybe you're also coming free and going home scot-free, you're gonna spend another set of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's why it is important to have, in my opinion, to have a legal insurance like this one. There's another famous one is USSCA, United States USCCA. I'm sorry, United States Concealed Carry Association. Or this one, the one I have is a Texas Law Shield, or are similar capacities. And like I said, they make statements, they read their terms, either up to very high amounts or maybe unlimited amounts of protection. Those are the court fees and attorney fees. Don't forget that attorney for any questions, they're charging $300 an hour on the average. Could be more. So attorney fees, court fees, all the other ancillary costs such as ballistic reports, other lab reports, you name it. And it might come tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And again, if there's a bystander witness got shot, maybe millions of dollars. So because of those things, it is imperative if you are carrying a gun with the intent of self-protection, it is, in my opinion, imperative to have that kind of insurance. Otherwise, you're going to have to take that risk and face those kinds of charges. And if you say, I'm not going to use an attorney, I'm going to defend myself, good luck. In this world of our judicial system, American judicial system, and given its incredible complexity, if you can navigate your way through that incredibly complex system, probably that would be an absolute miracle than if you can come clean out of that. So I just wanted to mention, I just wanted to make this video to contribute a little bit, to contribute to the awareness that needs to be there for those carrying legally owned weapons on them, on their persons, with a permit. In my case, the state of Minnesota is not a constitutional carry state. That's why I have to have a permit like this. But for instance, if you go to the next neighbor state, Wisconsin, it's a constitutional carry state. In 20 other states in the United States, in the federal union, there are constitutional carry states, so you don't have to have a permit. Well, whether permit or not, no permit, the concealed carry is the number one thing is a personal protection, right? And when you do carry this on your hip or however you carry it, everybody has a different ways of carrying. Understand that this, I mean, carrying a gun, this right, it is your constitutional right, right? Protected by, again, Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, that we are all entitled as American citizens to bear arms and carry arms on our persons for self-protection. But with those responsibilities, and in case of using it, these are all the potential situations. Especially, I wanted to cover the aftermath of using, the after the fact that you use your gun, all the legal consequences. This is what I wanted to talk about. This is the kind of awareness I wanted to contribute. I hope that helps. Again, I appreciate your time for watching, listening to my video. I hope we see each other again in another video. Have a good day. Stay safe.